They do. If they don't have the same equipment, if they don't have the same quality teachers, you're telling me that these kids have the same opportunity for success as the kids who live in the suburbs.
Arizona teachers are so poorly paid that a lot of those schools, the inner city schools in particular, or the rural schools, are using substitute teachers that are not even certified because no one else, you're not getting paid enough you're not getting a living wage to teach these children.
Delivering educational excellence to all our students so they are prepared for the new economy. 0 of you chose that as one of your top 4. Half of them chose it. What do they know that you don't?
Okay, it starts in the home, and
You're
that's
not
what.
even prioritizing education.
Because
are you a mom? Then why are you so silent?
Because my kids went to private schools and they got an excellent education.
Everybody go to private school in this corner, right?
Yes, you can. No, because public school, depending where they are, is the kind of teachers they can afford. Therefore, if I live in South LA, I cannot have my children understand and read and write by the time they get to high school. Because those teachers are paid below poverty level and they're unable to move. So the only place to really get an education, it is private education.
Politics is why schools are bad. The legislator writes these education, whatever, I can't even remember what they call them, but we've dummied down the curriculum. It's the politicians' fault.
Delivering educational excellence, you didn't choose it. This has nothing to do with how the schools are. The question is, do we need to teach our kids? And you're telling me no. Are you a mom?
Yes.
And how do you react to this conversation?
My children are millennials, but they went to public school and private schools, and I taught them whenever I had the chance to do it because I had a career, but they all professionals, every one of them from PhDs down to BAs. So it's about the parents' accountability.
So what I hear, think about everything I said to them. Every single comment has been my children, my school. Every comment about education from all of you has been my. That's how we began each statement.
let's start with the educational books about how they lie about history. Okay, because I feel it comes. I was told, I don't know how right this is or wrong this is. Texas is the one that dictates the educational system in the United States. They write the books. In Texas was a state with slavery. They lie a lot in those books. They omit a lot about the Native Americans, about the African slaves, about how treated they were here, how bad they were, how they were murdered, hung, lynched, all that bullshit that was in there. It starts with the books and the education. Start telling the truth about how Native Americans were fucked over, how black people were fucked over, and how about other immigrants were fucked over. And it starts with education. Like you said, the key word is education. It's those fucking books.
You guys agree with
Let's
this?
start with that. It is, because they lie in those damn history books. No, that's not part of it. That's a major problem.
It's not the whole problem.
I think it's selective omission, what they choose to educate people.
Let's ask the teacher.
Well, I think, yeah, some of it, but I think they're trying to get, I mean, I'm Jewish and there's still a lot of anti-Semitism going on, and now they're finally teaching about the Holocaust, and they're taking kids to DC, the Holocaust Museum. I think they're trying to make an honest effort.
I find that bias too, okay? No offense to you, you're Jewish, okay? But they talk about, 6 million Jews being killed, right, by Hitler, right? Let's talk about all the African Americans, all the Native Americans that were murdered beyond 6 million.
I'm not comparing mine to yours.
No, but that's
I'm just
bullshit.
saying.
History is biased, and that's why to this day, if you want to move forward, start with those books and start telling our kids the truth about how this country was taken and robbed from, and how Mexico, they stole California, Arizona, all of that from Mexico. And you're calling these Mexicans spics to get out of this country. That's bullshit too. But if you want to get deeper, it starts with them damn history books. Stop fucking lying about that bullshit. How slaves were not murdered, all that shit, that's all bullshit. That needs to be all in that fucking book, okay, period. A lot of history that we learn right now is biased.
She gave me the best. I had teachers that cared. I had a mentor. There's not someone to mentor that child. And I'm not talking about race, I'm talking about across the board. Because there's poor among us everywhere. And if there's not someone like this that's willing to take the time, it doesn't happen. If it hadn't been someone that was willing to take time for me, my mother walked off and left me alone in a house when I was 10 years old.
But I say to you all, what is going on that you're not communicating to them that education matters? It's your responsibility. You're marching to get rid of guns that will affect nobody in this room, and you're not marching for education that will affect every single person in this room.
Yeah, your biggest hurdle is the teachers union.
Yeah.
That is your biggest hurdle.
There's so much apathy on that side of the room. for teachers for what they have to go through. The reason why we don't even pay our teachers, the reason why Finland is #1 in education, they pay their teachers like they pay their doctors. Because education is the fundamental cornerstone of society. That's how you improve your infrastructure.
Money is not the issue. We keep throwing more money every year to education and nothing changes. We're still in the bottom 25.
I think there's absolutely merit to the claim that the teachers' unions need to start prioritizing standards. I also think that it's important to understand that without those teachers' unions, that teachers will be paid even worse than they are now, and you can see the protests all over the country. So why can't it be both? Why can't we start paying our teachers like they deserve? They're critical, but why don't we start making it to where there actually need to be standards? I think that's something we can all agree on.
Part of the problem is they teach to the standardized tests. They're teaching to keep their jobs versus teaching what needs to happen to make sure their students are able to make it going forward.
Do you guys agree?
I think a lot starts with the schools because, like you were saying, they have to make people. I grew up in a neighborhood where we came to school. My parents came, whether it's one parent or two parent. They wanted to be a part of their children's education. They're scared. They need to make the schools better, and the people will want to learn. And I mean, it's a big thing.
Like in 2003, when Bloomberg sent for teachers to come to replace those teachers who were not certified, it was about 5,000 of them. He gave them free place to stay, $5,000 a month, and then they did not stay because they don't like the culture, the way that we educated our children.
The worst schools I saw were the charter schools, and one in particular we saw on the Indian reservation. It's even hard for me to talk about this. It was so frustrating because the owner of the school was driving a rented or leased Mercedes while his students literally were working on 10-year-old computers. The bus that took them up to school and back broke down so often that it was practically useless. The fire alarm in the cafeteria was broken, and that's equal opportunity. That's what we have in this system, and Arizona legislatures seem hell-bent to destroy the public school system in every way they can think of, with these vouchers and such, and it just is not fair. And when I looked and saw the statement the one person made about every child deserves an opportunity for a good education, and I think it was 50 didn't. It should have been 100 on both sides agreeing with that statement in my mind. How can you not agree that every child deserves an opportunity for a good education?
There's two things that caused the Cleveland school system to collapse. The first one was when they began busing. They took millions and millions of dollars and dumped it into shipping kids from one side of town to the other. That should have been going into the schools and the books, the education, the sports programs, teachers' pay, et cetera, okay?
From one judge's ruling, it cost the city.
Yeah, that was the huge turning point. I saw, and I like you said, there was a huge turning point right there, and that was, I mean, you pull millions of dollars out of the school system. Well, when that happened, people started leaving the school system. Okay, tax dollars dropped out of that school system because people moved out of Cleveland into suburbs to ship their kids to better schools. And then it just went downhill from there.